From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Jason White. International trade lawyers say if the U.S. follows through on President Donald Trump's tariff threat, Canada could decide to hit back almost immediately. Usually, the Canadian government will publish a list of potential tariffs and hold a month-long consultation. But William Pellerin of Macmillan Vantage says the federal cabinet could decide to immediately order a return volley of tariffs.
I think the government could act very quickly on the assumption that the work has been done to have the retaliation package ready to go. A day or two is all that would be needed.
The Trump White House doubled down this week on its threat to slap Canada with massive tariffs as early as Saturday. Meanwhile, British Columbia's premier is assembling a war room over the looming trade war between Canada and the U.S. Premier David Eby's office says the new cabinet committee will aim to protect BC workers, businesses, and the economy against tariffs. Canadian authorities say they have thwarted a human smuggling attempt at the U.S. border in Ontario's Niagara region. The Canadian Border Services Agency and the Mounties say they caught one person jumping off a moving freight train as it entered Canada. Two others were questioned. Public Safety Minister David McGuinty says it shows Canada's border plan is working. The Bank of Canada has cut its key interest rate for a sixth consecutive time to 3%. That widens the interest rate gap between Canada and the U.S. BMO economist Shelley Koshik says the divergence is abnormal, and it shows the Bank of Canada is worried about damage from potential U.S. tariffs.
If tariffs are implemented, I think that would overwhelm any other decision factor for the Bank of Canada, including Fed divergence, including the value of the loonie.
The U.S. Federal Reserve kept its key rate steady at its own announcement this afternoon. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency is recalling more desserts linked to its salmonella investigation of mini pastries. The federal agency says FT brand Lemon Delight and Tartlet with forest fruits were distributed in Ontario with best before dates of December 11th, 2025. They were made by the same Italian manufacturer as the mini pastries that sickened 61 people. ChatGPT maker OpenAI suggests Chinese tech company DeepSeek stole intellectual property.
OpenAI and Microsoft are reportedly investigating whether DeepSeek improperly used OpenAI's model to train its own. But the New York Times is currently suing OpenAI for violating copyright law by using Times articles to train its AI model. UCLA law professor John Villasenor says that makes it tough for OpenAI to make a copyright argument against DeepSeek.
Advancing that argument would directly undermine the arguments they have made as defendants in some of these copyright claims.
Mike Dubosky, ABC News.
This is the Canadian Press. In sports, the Vancouver Canucks are in Nashville tonight as they face the Predators. The Canucks have won 2 straight games and can move past idle Calgary into the Western Conference's second wildcard spot tonight with 2 points. Elsewhere in the NHL, the Toronto Maple Leafs are home to the Minnesota Wild. In professional women's hockey league action, the Montreal Victoire look to reclaim first place in the standings as they host the Ottawa Charge. In basketball action, the Toronto Raptors are looking for a 5th straight win tonight as they visit the struggling Washington Wizards. Barring the acquisition of a new striker, Toronto FC coach Robin Fraser says he'll be counting on a lot of players to score this season.
What we've seen so far in training and scrimmage games and 11v11s is that we're getting contributions from a lot of different places.
Toronto opted not to bring back Prince Owusu, who led the team with 9 goals last season. The German forward has since joined CF Montreal. From the Canadian Press, I'm Jason White.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.